Hello, welcome back. By the Christmas tree, Christmas hat on. It's nearly Christmas Day. I thought I'd try and do a Christmassy themed video. I wanted to sort of tell a sort of story of one of the most memorable Christmases I have had growing up. I suppose this was the start of my gaming journey. It was the first console I ever got for Christmas. It was the first console I ever got ever. And that was when I got a Nintendo and it's the NES, Nintendo Entertainment System for Christmas. I was about 6 years old. My sister would have been about one. I think she was. I remember she wasn't old enough to walk, but she could crawl, so she was probably about 1 year old. And I don't know where I saw the NES, but I know that I saw it somewhere at a friend's house or something, and I really wanted one for Christmas. I had played video game consoles before then. I had been introduced to like my dad's old Pong console, which was just like pixelated, but that was my first sort of introduction to, I suppose, a home entertainment console or whatever, even though I only had like 3 games. And then other friends on the street had like a Commodore 64 where I used to play like Dizzy the Egg and all that kind of thing. But I remember I really wanted a Nintendo for Christmas, and it was that time where you believed in Santa, where Christmas was more magical, and you saw it through the eyes of a child. And growing up now, I'm such a Grinch, but I do have fond memories growing up, and me and my sister were very fortunate to have the parents that we've had, or still have, because they're not, we still have them, thank God. But they try to make Christmas as magical as possible for us growing up, and I'm forever grateful for that. And having that upbringing and having the things that we had growing up, we weren't spoiled as kids. We never, we didn't get everything we wanted. We weren't spoiled at all, but we did quite well at Christmas and birthdays. But I remember asking for this Nintendo, and my dad was constantly like, you're not getting a computer, you're not getting it, forget it, you're not getting it. And I was like, yeah, but Santa will bring me it. I'm asking Santa, not you, or whatever. And I was writing letters, and I was looking in the Argos catalogue, or whatever, the Argos or the Index catalogue it might have been back then, or even might have just been, even when we were going into town, you'd go to Woolworths, and you'd be looking at the box art and checking out the back and reading the back of the box, and you'd see the Nintendo on the shelf with the controllers and the Zapper gun. It's like, oh please, just I'd love that for Christmas. And then the big day arrives, but for the whole month my dad was like, you're not getting one. And Christmas in our house sort of started with, my sister was only 1, so it would be like, you couldn't sleep the night before, you were just up all night, eventually you did fall asleep out of pure exhaustion. But then I used to have a little stocking by the bottom of the bed, and then you'd wake up and there'd be a few little presents in there to open. You'd be like sweeties and that sort of thing. Then you'd go and wake your parents up, and then go and get my sister out of the cot or whatever, and we'd go downstairs and you'd check the mince pie, check the glass of milk, see if the reindeers had the carrot and all that. There was none of this elf on a shelf bollocks. I think that's traumatising children more than anything these days. And you'd be like, has he been? Has he been? Has Santa been? And you go in and he's been, yes, he's been. Great. All these presents are there, and we'd take turns opening presents and stuff. So you'd open all these presents and stuff, and you'd see your pile of presents getting smaller and smaller, and you're sort of thinking to yourself, well, there's no Nintendo, where's the Nintendo? Oh God, please. And then you'd open your last present, no Nintendo. And my mum and dad used to do this thing where they sort of put our main present to one side, and I think they thought it was sort of being like, it was trying to make us feel a bit more excited when we did get it, but it was more like I was really disappointed. And you just think that you didn't get it. And then my mum would always say, did you get everything you asked for? And because we weren't, ungrateful kids, we always used to say, yes, thank you very much. We've got everything we asked for. It was really nice, really sort of thankful of the things that we got. And we were sat watching TV not long after we'd finished opening presents, but it started to set in. I was like, well, I haven't got a Nintendo now. Oh shit, what am I going to do? And my dad used to be a cop, and he was like, he had his work uniform hanging over the back chair in the living room, and it was sort of against the wall at a diagonal, and I used to crawl behind it and do my colouring in, and just sort of like reading my books or whatever, or my comics and stuff. And I remember my dad said to me, he goes, "Can you just check the back of that chair? I think my wallet's just fell out my trousers." So I'd crawl through the little space, and there was a Nintendo sat there, not wrapped up or anything. It was just there. So the logo instantly hit me in the face, and I was just like, can't remember if I started crying. Cried when I got my PlayStation 1. I remember that. That's a different story for another day. But I was so elated to see this Nintendo logo and the actual system, the two controllers and the zapper on the front of the box. Opened it out, sort of held it above my head and was like, yes! Like many children my age will fondly look back on. And set it up instantly, started playing it. It was a dual cartridge of Duck Hunt and Mario, so I started playing Mario. And it was amazing. It was great, and slowly built my collection up. But back then, I had to rely on my parents to buy me video games because obviously I was only 6 or 7, and I couldn't afford my own video games, so I had to rely on birthdays and Christmases to sort of get my collection up. And we used to take games into school and swap them with friends, and you'd lend them a game, you'd do a swapsy. So if they had a game you wanted and you had a game they wanted, you'd swap for a bit until you finished each other's game and then give it back. Or sometimes you do a permanent swap. And it was just great, that sort of time growing up, the 90s, and it was amazing. But that will always be a Christmas that I'll never ever forget, and having that Nintendo. And it was mainly like, I look back at my early gaming sort of days, and my dad, I don't think he realizes just how much of an influence he's been on my video game sort of life. He's been a really big part of it. He was there a lot at the beginning. My parents have sort of fueled that unintentionally, because I know my dad was sort of thinking they were a waste of time, but my dad got that addicted to the Nintendo that my mum had to intervene and say, "Look, Charlie, you're getting a bit, you're on that more than you're on that a lot. You need to sort of rein it in a bit." And he sort of had to sort of wean himself off it, because I remember sometimes I'd wake up in the night at 3 o'clock in the morning in my bedroom, and the TV would be on, the sound would be off, and my dad would be sat in the chair with his uniform on, obviously just got in from a night shift, sat there playing Mario. But I remember we used to play together, because it was 2-player, and I think he finished the game, but I was Luigi. So when it was that thing, you took turns, and I think I lost all my lives, but he found the warp pipes. I think he rang the Nintendo hotline quite a lot, because I remember when we played, we finished Mario together, we finished Super Mario Bros. 2 together, and we finished Super Mario Bros. 3 together. We also had Bat versus the Space Mutants, and that first level where you had to sort of spray paint everything red. Everything that was purple had to be red. And he got that stuck and frustrated that he rang the Nintendo hotline and was like, "How do you do this first level?" And I think he finished that game as well. It was really good. So I'll always look back on that and think, it was a great sort of first sort of one of the first Christmases I can remember. One of the most memorable Christmases. There was Christmases before that where I got all the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures and Shredder and a Foot Soldier, and I got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle car. Christmas after that, I think, was Ghostbusters one year. So I got the Firehouse. I've still got all these in the attic at my mum and dad's house. But there was like Ecto 1, I got all the Ghostbusters, there was Slimer, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. That was a Christmas at my grandparents', that was great. And I just think it's nice to have these memories. And video games were coming back from the brink, because they had the video game crash, which was before my time. But the video game industry was building up again, and Nintendo were sort of reviving the industry. So Nintendo will always have a special place in my heart, and that's why I just love video games. And there was many Christmases like that where it was the latest console or whatever, and a lot of great memories. And like I said, it's very fortunate to have these memories, and I don't think I'll ever forget them. So that was my first sort of step into gaming, having my own system, and eventually the NES sort of wore down, and you had to blow into the cartridges, and it got older and older, covered in dust and stuff. So you upgrade to another system, the Super Nintendo, etc. Not every single console came out at Christmas, but yeah, there was a lot of great memories at that time of year. So that was it. I just wanted to sort of come on and share a little memory of mine from growing up. It's not that far, it's about 5 days away from Christmas, so whatever you're doing, stay safe, look after each other, and from me, I wish everybody who watches these videos a massive Merry Christmas and all the best for a 2023. I'm glad to see the back of 2022. 2023 going forward is going to be, exciting time. But yeah, it's been a very penultimate year for me, and onwards and upwards. So stay safe, have a good time, enjoy your drinking. Spare a thought for people that are going through it at Christmas time, because it's not always happy. It wasn't happy for me last year, and I know certainly other people I've lost in the past around Christmas time. So there are people struggling this time of year, so spare a thought for them. Try and be kind to people, pay it forward, and we'll see you in the next video. So all the best, and have a Merry Christmas.